This is Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
You're listening to the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. So, the Kickstarter's in its final 5 days now.
Yeah, I was just looking at that earlier to see how much you made so far. I think it was around 34.
Yeah,
out of your 42.
It's a little bit above 34.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's I don't remember the exact amount off the top of my head at the moment.
It's less than 1,000 to go.
It's less than 1,000 to go. Yeah, it's right at about 700 to go. So hopefully in the last 5 days,
Hopefully.
If we get just one person who backs Chronicles #2 cover, we have it. Because the original art tier for that would cover, or no, it's not quite that. It would be like the Chronicles #2 cover and then one of the interior pages for Blood Will Out. If we got those two, it would cover it. And we have sold a number of pieces of original art in this. So hopefully.
That would be great.
Hopefully. Yeah.
I mean, it's moved along really well so far. Just, I don't know what it takes to get that last push there at the end.
I don't either. And it kind of seems like when you're doing any Kickstarter, the last week is when you run out of juice. You're like, okay, I've done every single page promotion type thing, Facebook posts, posting all these groups, LinkedIn, Twitter, all this shit. And I don't know who hasn't seen it. I've called everyone that I know will back. I've texted everyone that I know will back. Emailed, showed up at their house and threatened them. Beat people with tacos. All kinds of stuff that I thought would be great marketing. But
It's like that last 0.6 miles in a marathon.
Yeah. But, with like Ghost Assassin, I kind of hit that point with about 5 days ago, too. And then in the last 3 days, I was able to recoup and heavily promote again. So I'm sure I'll be able to do that with this one as well.
Oh, here's hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and figure out a way to share around the t-shirt image again. We've had a lot of backers in the t-shirt phase. And I'm sure if I can just get the t-shirt shown a little bit more, people really like that image.
I like the t-shirt. That's one of the reasons why I backed it.
So I think tomorrow I'm going to be hitting up everybody and just asking them to share the project. So hopefully, a few of them that aren't backers yet will become backers. But if I can get 20, 30, 40 people to share it, that might be enough. Their pages could be seen by enough people. You never know.
Yeah, you got 15 currently at that t-shirt level.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have done that one. And then the cover artwork for #4, the Christmas image artwork, that one went really quick. We added it as a new tier. Those have both, and I've actually had more people up their pledges with this one than I ever have with any others. So people who started off just buying the comic have upped to the t-shirt tier, which is pretty nice, But yeah, on top of trying to figure out all that with Kickstarter this week, I also had to take a hardcore look at how eBay is doing all its algorithm shit now.
Yeah, is it really messing with you?
Yeah, because they're a fucking price guide and it's a problem.
There's a price guide?
No, eBay is a price guide and it's a problem.
How so?
Okay. So this is just my conclusion. It's not based off of anything eBay itself has released or anything like that, right? But when I first started selling on eBay, way back in like 1997, was great time to sell comics on there. You sold probably 90 to 95% of everything you listed, right? Now, over time, there's more conventions, there's more of this, there's more of that. And there's a whole lot more websites to buy stuff off of. Back in 97, you could buy off eBay or another universe. And some places had their own web stores, but, not a lot of them. And most of the time, any business that wanted an online presence, that meant eBay back in those days, right? So, a lot more people were on the platform to actually shop. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I sold more, right? Over time, there's been a lot of factors for why buyers have dropped off. But as of like, I'm going to say 2012 to 2013, if you had an eBay store, you could kind of count on selling about 10% of whatever you had listed, right? So the numbers obviously significantly dropped. There's a lot of different reasons for that. Number one, there's a whole lot more people selling on the platform. More people selling the same item means not everybody's going to sell it, right? And the reality is that there could be 600 of one item listed and nobody's buying it because it's just not a sought after item. So there's all kinds of factors like that. There's also something to be stated for the fact that around like 2009 to 2013, you couldn't list a video game without it selling, right? But eventually the retro gaming market kind of dipped. People collect en masse for a little while in something and then they get out of it. You know, there was a boom in comics. There was a boom in video games too. So if I went to a garage sale and I found a bunch of NES stuff for $10, I could put it on eBay and flip it for a couple hundred to $1,000, whatever. And most of the shit that I listed would go within like an hour, right?
Yeah, there's trends.
Mm-hmm. Well, now not only has the retro game market dipped tremendously, but on top of that, people got tired of buying them specifically on eBay. You know why?
They got tired of buying those things on eBay?
Yeah, do you know why people got tired of buying retro video games on eBay?
Because they don't like eBay?
No, because there are so many goddamn bootlegs on there.
Oh, yeah, that would...
So the thing
piss me off.
is a Chinese seller can do e-packet shipping for way, way cheaper than U.S. seller can, right? So somebody that actually has their own factory in China can sell something on eBay for like $4, ship it e-packet, and they're still making a profit. Whereas over here, to ship something from the U.S. to the U.S., we get charged like $4 to ship it. So obviously you're not going to make profit selling it like that, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just type in Pokemon Green into eBay and see how many of the results you get are phony copies. I bet if you looked careful enough, even if you don't deal in video games, you could tell they're phonies, right? And there's bootleg everything on eBay these days. They don't really do anything to curb that. There's bootleg action figures all over eBay. Bootleg video games, all that. So I kind of figured out that right now people are shopping on Mercari for the video games, not on eBay. So problem solved. I just switched over the majority of my video game inventory over to Mercari, and I'm going to continue to list all of that until it's gone, right? But the problem is Mercari is not really that great for comics. I can sell comics on there, but I'm not really going to get a big quantity sold at once because, you know, that whole you can add on shipping and ship somebody 20 things in one order on eBay. Well, Mercari, there's not a way to do that. You buy the items individually, and so they ship individually. So unless somebody messages you and says, hey, I want 6 of these comics, can you put them in one lot? Which they do. So I have sold comics on Mercari that way. But I don't think it's as great of a platform for comics as what eBay is, just based off the whole shopping cart feature and all that shit, right?
So you're having to change the way you do everything and look at what platform is best to sell all your stuff.
Yes, which is just smart to do anyway. And you're smart to have multiple platforms. Like, pretty much anything I have listed on eBay, I have doubled up on OfferUp and Let Go.
Yeah,
so that local buyers can buy them, you know.
You're trying to spread it out.
But the thing is that all of what I've been trying to do, you know, get all this listed here, get all this listed here, 2 eBay stores, my eBay sales just keep going down and down and down. Like 2012, it'd be about 10% saw it, and it'd be about the same for everybody else, right? 2017, it was down to like 8%. Right now, from all of the eBay sellers I've talked to, all the message boards I've been to, all the information I've gathered from YouTube sellers that, you know, are doing the eBay channels, all that kind of stuff, my own store, my own experience on that, I'd say the sell-through is more like 2% of everything that you list.
That's a big dip.
Big dip. And there's a few reasons for it. So I'm taking a look at eBay's algorithm, trying to figure it out as much as possible. And nobody outside of eBay actually knows what its algorithm is. So this is just speculation on my part, right? But I think the fact that it's a price guide is fucking up everything.
You mean like people are looking on eBay to see what they can sell something for and then going somewhere else?
No, not exactly. So here's the thing. When you go to eBay and you type in an item, it automatically pulls up their best match first, right? So when you look at the items, it's not lowest to highest like it is on Amazon or anything like that. It's eBay's own algorithm of what they want to show you, unless you click the little link at the top that says sort lowest to highest, highest to lowest, distance closest first. Otherwise, it's just best match, right?
I tend to sort my stuff when I look at it anyway.
I sort mine too, but I imagine I have to because, I'm using eBay as a price guide. But there are a lot of people who probably don't, right?
I don't know. I would think that a lot of people do because I want to see what's
the vast majority of people who I have actually watched use eBay don't seem to realize that little button is right there.
Oh, I always look for that sort of thing. If I can't change that.
Here's the other thing. Have you ever actually paid attention to the left-hand side where it said, in order to show you the most relevant results, we removed some items from your search?
I've seen that.
So that means that people who are paying 10 cents plus a month to have that item up don't even get it shown to you when it's being searched for, right?
No, that's kind of fucked up.
That's really fucked up. But here's the thing. If you look at all the data that they actually will give you, it kind of seems the more likely items are to sell in your store, the more likely they are to show items in your store, right? So, one of the things I noticed is that they'll start sending me a lot of emails once an item hits like 500 views and hasn't sold, about me lowering the price because they think that's why it's not selling, but it's had so many views, right? And then they have these little alerts on your listings if it's been up for 16 months or more and hasn't sold yet, right?
No, I think people are watching are just people really interested in looking at where it's going and what's been going on. Has the price moved at all?
Right.
I'm interested, but I don't know if I want to buy it yet. And
yeah, here's the thing though. On eBay, my average item views before an item sells are in between 250 to 1,000, depending on what the item is.
Yeah, and I would think, especially with something like comics or action figures, people got to look at it to see what it is, and they want to check what you graded it at. They want to see your pictures.
Depending on how they do their hits, it might be the same person looking at it multiple times because they're trying to make up their mind on whether they want it or not, right?
Yeah, I've looked at the same thing multiple times before on eBay.
Now, here's the thing. On Macari, you want to guess what my average hits are before I sell an item?
Do you know?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I look at all my metrics, like, all the time.
I have no idea.
20. About 20 views before something sells. On Macari, if I get about 20 views on an item, I usually get about 4 of these things that are like likes, basically watches, whatever you want to call them.
People like favoriting it so they can easily come back to it.
Yeah, or maybe they just, oh, hey, that's a cool item, and they're just liking it like they are on Facebook, right?
Oh, that sounds
Thing
dumb.
is, once it gets a certain amount of little hearts, Macari starts kind of like pimping it to people more, right? This item's hot. This many people have liked it. You want to look at it? That kind of shit, right?
Oh, okay.
eBay, on items that have had 1,000 views, may not have a single watcher on them. Now, is it because they made the watch item button harder to find? I don't fucking know.
No, it's right there. I only do mobile,
right?
Because I don't own a computer, but it's right there under the picture with everything else. Buy now, bid, watch, make offer.
But one of the things I've noticed is that my items that are in that 2% are generally things I've listed in the last 30 days. So I kind of preemptively started doing a few things. Number one, I don't want anything in the main eBay account anymore that's not comics. Kind of think, okay, like as a comic fan, as a comic buyer, if I go into this eBay store and I see a video game, that's not really going to turn me off to buying comics. See an action figure, that won't turn me off buying comics. Crown Royal bags, on the other hand.
Yeah.
The Fireball shot glasses, on the other hand.
Like the people that have a whole bunch of random things inside.
Yeah, and my eBay store is a massive, just like Goodwill thrift store type setup at the moment, right? At the beginning of last month, I had 1,700 items up, and only about 200 were comics, right?
I don't know where you put all this stuff in your house.
Take a look behind you.
Oh, no, I see all the stuff that you have, but it just doesn't equate to be that much stuff to me.
Well, just imagine how much is there that is not listed yet, because all that shit that needs to be listed still. So in any case, 1,700 items is what I had up, right? And I took 400 of those items and just exported them right over to Mercari. Not export, because you can't export items from Mercari, but I retook the pictures, used the description that had written up, all that. Dropped the price by $1 or $2, whatever, put on Mercari. A lot of it I sold. Some stuff that had been up for like 3 years on eBay, I sold within an hour on Mercari. That tells me it's not a lack of the item being in demand, right? Because why did it sell within an hour on Mercari and not at all on eBay, right? So, could it be there are more people actually looking to buy on Mercari? Sure, it could be. But I think it also boils down to the algorithm, because eBay has a lot of shoppers. Although it could be stated that the people who are selling stuff on Mercari might be using their money that they make on Mercari to buy from you. A lot of people used to do that in the early days of eBay. You know why they don't as much anymore? Because sellers don't want to support a platform that they don't feel like supports them. So we're less likely to be buyers on the platform that we're making our money off of.
I'm barely a buyer on any of that. Most things.
I
go into shops.
I don't buy a lot online either.
Like I've only recently did I really start looking at things on eBay. I've only bought a few things.
And
I don't know why. I don't bother with it.
Yeah.
The only things that I've gone to buy on eBay was some random records, and honestly, that's just because I got a better deal than my local shop.
Fair enough. Yeah, like with the graphic novels, I usually buy those at in-stock trades if I buy them new.
See, I haven't even thought to do something like that for eBay. I bought used books on Amazon before just because that's cheaper, and I don't mind used books.
Well, that's why I buy this stuff on in-stock trades, because it actually comes from one seller and it's cheaper than what pretty much anybody on eBay offers anything for.
And I look at all this. I look at a bunch of stuff. Like I was perusing in-stock trades for a couple of days about all their random stuff that they have, seeing if they have anything that I want. And they do have stuff that I want. And then in the end, I think, well, do I really need that? I'm like, no, I don't. So I'm not going to buy it.
So I did notice something when I got to about the 200th item that I ended on eBay and put over on Mercari. Some of my eBay items that were not getting like hardly any views, all of a sudden were jumping up in views. A lot of what I removed in the beginning were the things that had been listed for 16 months or over. So that kind of told me their algorithm doesn't like what they might consider to be dead inventory, clogging up your space, right? You have 1,700 items listed. If like 1,600 of them are things that haven't sold in a year, they're not going to be as favorable towards your store as somebody who has like 1 million things listed and, 20,000 of them are from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that seemed to be working, kind of put some antifreeze in everything, so to speak. And then I started looking at some of the other items as I was removing them and what it would kind of do with Mercari, plus what it was doing for actually getting things to start seeing some movement again on eBay. And another one of them was a lot of items that had a ton of views. So I started taking a hard look at these, and the items that had the most views weren't very often the most sought after things. they were the things that the most people on eBay had listed. So like these stupid Pretty Punch pattern things, I got 2 stacks of for free. They're like these little embroidery pattern things. I've been selling those left and right for like $7 a piece on eBay, right? Those had like barely any views, but were managing to sell. When I type in Pretty Punch, there weren't very many sellers who had those listed beyond me. Like I think 3 people beyond me had the same patterns that I had listed. Now take a look at like Family Guy for the PSP. There were 1,000 views on the copy that I had that I migrated over to Macari.
That's weird.
Do you think 1,000 people are looking for Family Guy on the PSP?
No, I didn't know that Family Guy was something on the PSP.
It was actually... it's not a video game. It's a movie. You remember how PSP had the UMD movies?
Yeah, kind of, but, PSP was really cool when it came out, but it kind of petered off. It was too early.
Yeah.
For that sort of thing.
I'd agree with that. But in any case, it's a Family Guy Friggin' Sweet collection. It's one of the things that came free with the PSP, right? It's just a collection of episodes. In any case, there were 1,000 views on that. You take a look at how many of those are listed on eBay. There's like 2,000, 3,000 of them, some shit like that listed, right? Maybe not quite that many, but there's a lot of Family Guy PSP listed, right? So maybe some of those hits are bots crawling the site. Maybe some of them are people who actually want it and are looking for the best deal, Maybe they passed over mine because mine didn't have the box, stuff like that. And they could find one for a pretty comparable price that actually included the box. There's all kinds of reasons like that a game won't sell, or a movie. But I think a big part of the reason is because eBay is a price guide. So I decided as I was migrating over everything that anything that I listed from now on that was under $10, with the exception of the comics that I'm trying to kind of rebuild my main store with, are going to go to Macari. Where do you think I look up the price for these items?
eBay?
Yeah. A lot of my really old vintage stuff, I mean like stuff that I have this from the late 1800s, early 1900s, I sell that stuff on Etsy.
Where that seems like a better place to go.
Yeah.
For that sort of
I
stuff.
have an Etsy store that has, as of right now, I think it only has stereoscopes in it. And they're stereoscopes from the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Now, I don't really know a lot about Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know if I bought something off Etsy. I know that I've looked at stuff and thought about it. But when I first found it, I thought that it was supposed to be a site tailored for people that make their own things.
It was.
Like their little doodads and whatnot.
Yeah, like my cousin has an
like
Etsy
handmade
store.
Goods.
And she makes statues by hand.
Yeah, that sort of style of stuff.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what it is. But
Etsy is for that. And then people started selling antiques that were just barely repurposed. And they weren't really repurposed in a lot of cases. And people were still buying them. So Etsy opened up and said, it's a handmade and vintage store. So you can't sell anything that's like newer than the last 20 years, I think. If it's 20 years old or newer, you can't list it there. But if it's any older than 20 years old, you can.
That seems... I guess I didn't take a good enough look at the thing that I was looking at. But I was looking on Etsy the other day because I was on Reddit and I found this picture of this guy, this cool keychain. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
What the hell is that? Like, what do they call that? So I looked it up. I found it. Perpetual calendar was what it was called. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Where do you get one of these? Well, Etsy popped up for it. I was like, all right, I'll cruise through there. And it's a little keychain that has a dial that you can turn to you. I don't know exactly how you line it up, but you line it up to the year, and you got a calendar that'll tell you, oh, hey, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all that. This is what day it's going to be because calendars cycle through.
Right.
there's only there's a very small finite number
4
that it can be. Exactly.
Yeah, there's 4 days.
And every so many decades, it swoops back, and it's the same thing.
Right.
So you can theoretically use it forever. I thought, hey,
as long as we use the calendar that we're currently using.
True. Hey, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing. So I looked at that on Etsy, and these people, they look like they bought them, and I don't know, they probably put some sort of metal polish on them to give them a bit of a more patinaed look. Whatever, I don't really care.
Right.
I'm not looking for something patinaed. I'm fine with brand new. I just thought, hey, that's a really cool thing, and I'm not really a person that likes jingling keys, but I'd add this little calendar thing so I can be like, oh,
right,
there we go. Because
that's pretty neat.
I don't like to always look at my phone to try to figure that out. Like in the office at work, oh, hey, what's the date? I look up on the calendar. That's right there.
So, when you're selling one of your vintage goods on Etsy, where do you think most people look for the price?
I would think a lot of people for prices on anything, like the record shop that I used to frequent.
Mm-hmm.
That guy lists his stuff on eBay as well. I'm sure he goes to other sites, but he also goes to eBay for prices to see what he can get for stuff.
And if he uses a price guide, where is it most likely pulling its info from?
Probably eBay.
Right?
Because eBay it's what you think.
It's what you think of when you think of a price guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you are looking at something vintage that somebody's trying to sell you, and you want to know if you're getting a good deal or not, where are you most likely to go?
What you need to do is get a whole bunch of eBay sellers together. Everyone needs to jack up their price.
But the simplistic fact is that the more views your item gets without selling, the less they start popping it up in the best match.
So after it hits so many views, you need to pull it from that place, put it onto another, make sure you got it there. Because people are going to go to these other websites to buy or sell.
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment, honestly, because I'm pulling all this shit to list on Mercari, and my sales on Mercari keep getting better and better, whereas my eBay sales keep getting worse and worse. Mercari keeps getting better and better, right? And it's kind of like a thing where it's like, okay, I can kind of tell what some of my dead items are on Mercari by now, right? Like, I'm selling video games really well, but I've had an Xbox 360 controller that's been listed there for 5 months. So I sell Xbox 360 controllers within the first 30 days on eBay, like always. So I should probably pull that from Mercari and switch it over to eBay, right? But then there's probably going to be something in that eBay store that I want to pull and switch over to Mercari, right? The simplistic fact is, eBay is a price guide, and I think the way their algorithm is now working is that the more views your item gets without selling, the less likely they think it is to sell. Because they think like something's wrong with the item, and that's why it's not selling with all these hits, right?
So it wasn't always playing it like that.
No, this is what I think is the newer form.
Well, they have to be aware that people use it as a price guide.
You'd think so, but I sincerely doubt any of the people who are sitting on the board at eBay have actually ever sold or bought anything on the platform.
That's probably true.
Yeah. So you would think, because, you'll even be watching TV shows where people be like, I wonder what this is worth. Hey, look it up on eBay. You see that in sitcoms. You see that in shit like that. Like how many times you've been watching Big Bang Theory and they've looked something up on eBay.
Or, you're just with your friends and you look something up on eBay.
Yeah. Like it happens all the time. When we're at cons, how many comics do I look up on eBay when we're there?
It's what it's good for.
Right? Is a price guide. But the fact that it's a price guide is killing the sellers.
Yes.
So I think I figured that out this week. What exactly to do about it beyond and besides what I've already kind of been doing, which is shuffling things around. But I don't want to shuffle it around until I've got rid of, 20,000 items. That's a tremendous amount of work. It's been a tremendous amount of work pulling the 400 items I have pulled to list somewhere else,
I don't buy a whole lot of things online, but I still think Amazon and eBay to buy stuff. I never looked at or used Mercari or OfferUp or Let It Go, any of that. I don't know if it's because I don't buy anything or if it's because I'm old-fashioned or just an old person that doesn't bother to look on these new things because I can't keep up with it all.
Yeah, I personally rather buy my stuff physically. Like, you usually end up getting a lot better deals.
Even Craigslist. You're still going to meet some...
Well, you're doing the same thing on OfferUp or Lego.
Oh, okay. Well, no Craigslist. I've used Craigslist.
OfferUp and LetGo are just marketplace apps that you do local meetup with. So you go through, you look. Oh, this item looks cool. Hey, is it available? Oh, it's available. When do you want to meet? Da-da-da. Same as you would on Craigslist. Except for it's a much, much easier to use interface than Craigslist is.
Yeah, Craigslist hasn't changed in a long time.
No, it really hasn't. And you don't get like any hits when you list stuff on there now.
And it's
there's another one that the algorithm is fucked up on.
I don't know if those other ones are like this, but Craigslist is just filled with the same thing over and over. People keep listing
You
it.
can't do that on the other platforms because they'll delete your item or push it down in the algorithm if they notice that you're doing it.
I also hated people on Craigslist, and they still do it, that they list their item for like $1 or $10, and then you open up
and it's like 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to flag you, and I hope it gets taken down. And that's what I've done on every one of those that I've come across.
Yeah, I have alerts set up for certain keywords on Craigslist, right? And one of them is Malala. Anything that gets posted in our town, I get alerts for. And I've been getting this alert for the person who keeps listing and relisting his picture of a marijuana plant. And on the picture it says marijuana, cocaine, heroin, meth, like lists all these drugs. It keeps getting relisted, so people are flagging it down, But I'm like, okay, is that the cops in this area? Are they trying to catch people who are incredibly stupid around here? What?
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that you would catch a few people like that.
Yeah, I know. But, yeah, in any case, I'm pretty positive that's what's going on with the algorithm now. And as far as Mercari goes, it's really simple to use. In order to list an item on eBay now, it takes you like 10 fucking minutes. You list something on Mercari, you're done in like 30 seconds. So Mercari, you take a picture, you give it a title, you give it a description, you say whether they're sending you the shipping label or you're buying one yourself, you enter the price, the brand, and the color, and you're done. eBay, picture, title, description, and then 20 to 30 identifiers so that Google can help find the item, the price, the shipping, all that stuff, which your shipping, you usually have all that like pre-saved. So, if I'm listing comics, the last one was $4, it was $6.25 for priority, and it's going to be the same thing when I go to list my next one. It's already saved in there. But the product identifiers are what kill you now. So where was it manufactured? Well, when you're listing a book, a comic, a graphic novel, that means you actually have to open up the page that it's on, look in all the fine print, see if it says it, waste all that time if it's one of the copies that doesn't say where it was printed. Then, you just kind of have to make up something. They want to know the date of the manufacturer. And oddly enough, on most items, also the year of the manufacturer. Why they list for or ask for the date and the year, I don't know. But in any case, there are 20 to 30 product identifiers on every single listing you do on eBay now.
That's a lot of time
and it's
spent
adding
on one thing.
way too much time. This is like way too much.
Well, at least you're smart enough to keep on moving to the newer thing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna live and die with the platform.
No, you can't.
I'm not loyal to any platform like that. That's just stupid.
Loyal to the good business.
Speaking of which, this might be our last Kickstarter for a while, but not our last crowdfunding campaign.
Because you found a new platform.
No, not new. It actually predates Kickstarter, I'm pretty sure. But there just seems to be more reason than ever to go over to it. So, I'm going to be talking to Tony, but after the Kickstarter is all done, I'm thinking about opening up what's called an in-demand store on Indiegogo, which is basically like, hey, these were the amount of incentives that we offered, and these are still available, so we're going to make these available until we print this thing up and are ready to ship it out. So it'd give people an increased time frame that they could buy the original art, stuff like that. And since nothing that we did was exclusive to the Kickstarter, there's nothing that we wouldn't be able to offer on the Indiegogo On Demand. But Indiegogo is kicking the shit out of Kickstarter for comics these days.
So, like, if your Kickstarter gets funded, then all the pieces that are still available to buy, all the tiers that weren't all taken up, you just kick it over to that.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it's called an in-demand store. But Indiegogo does campaigns just like Kickstarter does for, whatever length of time you want, whatever goal you want, all that kind of stuff. And there are a lot of them that are going for like in excess of $500,000.
Fuck.
Where Kickstarter, you have a really, really hard time getting projects to go over like 40 or 50. I mean, there are some that, regularly hit like 150. Brian Pulido, creator of Lady Death, his projects go like crazy on Kickstarter. They get funded in minutes, and each one of them, it seems like, goes for at least 150,000.
Fuck.
Yeah, but he's also somebody who's been a known comic industry guy since like 1993. He's paid his dues. He's very established. He's created many characters that could easily be construed as cult classic characters, Like, most people know who Lady Death is. The other day, when I was talking about comics incessantly in front of Audra, even she knew who Lady Death was, and she didn't know, like, who any of the characters were that I didn't tell her about. But she knew that one before I told her about, It's just a character most people know. So, because at some point in time, you knew some pervy guy who wanted to collect, the big booby comics, and Lady Death was the go-to in all those. So,
I don't know if I know Lady Death.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of looks like Pamela Anderson did in the 90s. White skin, white hair, very well known for having humongous boobs. But don't let the big boob part fool you. It's actually a really good story.
I'm
it's not just a TNA book by any means.
I mean, could I say it looks familiar? Yeah, sure, I could say that. But, it could just be that style of character.
Okay, well, let me rephrase that. People who are my age know who Lady Death is. How about that?
I mean, that picture, that looks pretty cool. Her holding a scythe, but it's got some skulls on it.
She's a cool character. It's a whole, like, heaven and hell type story, It's a good story. He's a good writer. He well deserves the funding he gets. But the point I was trying to make wasn't about how much funding Brian Pulido gets. It's that Indiegogo has been kicking the crap out of Kickstarter for all this stuff, right? And I just don't see a reason not to try that out for my next crowdfunding campaign. Why not do Indiegogo and give it a shot,
There's no reason not to.
No, if it doesn't work out, I can always go back to Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I think when we do the Chronicles of Van Helsing hardcover, that we're actually going to launch it on Indiegogo.
Have you done many campaigns on there?
Done none.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of my crowdfunding campaigns to date have been on Kickstarter.
Are you allowed to send an update to people that have backed your Kickstarters through Kickstarter and say, hey, I got this going on?
Kickstarter will let you put links in your Kickstarter to other things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like after On Ghost Assassin, for instance, I have a link on the Kickstarter that if somebody's interested in buying it who stumbles upon it as an old project, it'll lead them right to my Darkslinger store on Store Envy. It'll lead them to the page that Ghost Assassin sold on. So, yeah, Kickstarter is not greedy in that way at all.
They're not going to block you.
No.
From linking to another site that is essentially their competition.
No, actually.
That's a little surprising.
Yeah, but if they blocked you for that, it would be going against what the spirit of these things are supposed to be for, right? Because they're supposed to be to help creative people get their projects out.
True.
And so if they started implementing those kind of rules...
You could see a lot of drop-off.
Uh-huh.
And then you die.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, isn't it better to just kind of be in bed with that than to go against it and have people rebel against you?
It's worth it.
But apparently that's another problem that Kickstarter's been facing. So there's been some drama about Kickstarter, and I've also wondered if that's part of the reason that we haven't been able to pick up as many backers on this one as in previous. Because apparently a lot of people are really upset about the fact that Kickstarter won't let their employees unionize.
It's a hot topic these days again.
It is. I personally don't have a bone to pick in it one way or the other. I belong to one union in my entire life. Yeah, one. I belonged to the grocers union when I was like 17. Never went to any union meetings or anything like that. Couldn't even tell you who my union representative was. So I don't have, I don't know why they need a union or anything like that.
These days, you can work at a place that has a union.
Uh-huh.
Any place. And, teachers union, nurses, electricians, what have you.
Right.
And you are not automatically enrolled anymore. But you can still get the benefits of being in the union, in the contracts.
Yes.
I don't know if you have all the defense that comes with a union, but you get...
Well, you wouldn't have the union rep to fight on your behalf.
But you get the benefits.
But more of what I meant is I don't know what it is that they want from Kickstarter that they need a union to do.
No, I'm just saying that you can get all the benefits without actually joining the union.
Right.
Because
so
they no longer...
I don't know why people are pissed off at Kickstarter about it is more of what I'm saying.
I don't know either.
But I also don't have a bone to pick in it. So.
I can see the benefits of having a union and not having a union. I've never been on either side of it. I don't really care.
The one job that I worked at we never went on strike or anything like that. So I never got to see anything the union actually would have done. We never had any employment disputes at that place. It was at Thurthway here in town. The bosses there were always upfront, honest. Like, nobody ever felt the need to do any union rep shit. There was no glass glazers union to join or anything like that. Not in this area, at least. But usually if you really, really want a union for your workplace or your industry, it's because you feel like you're being treated unfairly. That's my point. I don't know what the story is of why they needed to try and form a union. Like what the unfair treatment was that would have led to that. You understand what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
But I don't have a bone to pick in it. Like, I don't work for Kickstarter, anything like that. And, if the employees want to unionize, then...
Well, I think part of something that can drive that is so many places want to squash a union before it can even happen. They hate them.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, I can see why you might hate them. But it's as simple as you tell someone no, well, you just made them want it all the more.
Well, yeah. There is that. I can say there's been a lot of people who have brought up trying to unionize comic creators. I don't want that.
I think that would that would kind of be shit, because that's like, it's like any artist trying to form a union with a bunch of other artists. What the fuck are you doing? I think things like that are called collectives or some bullshit like that.
So the thing is with unionizing in comics, I wouldn't want to do it because, number one, you're not probably thinking about what that would... It would entitle you to this and that, yeah, but what would it lock you down into? Like, I don't want to have to work for a company because I joined a union. You know what I'm saying?
So you'd essentially you'd all become the IATSE of comics.
The what?
IATSE, I believe, I could be wrong in the pronunciation. You will see their symbol on nearly every single movie made.
Oh, okay.
They're I'm pretty sure they're for actors, they're for workers, any person who takes part in the movie.
Okay.
They're that little 5-star thing that's like one of the last symbols that scrolls up. And IATSE, I don't know if it means something. I don't know much about it besides the fact that it's been around for a long time. And their stamp is on practically everything made. Here's
the thing with comics, though. The vast majority of them are made on a contracted basis, right? So since when does someone who's a contractor get a union working for a company?
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It wouldn't be Marvel that they would be unionizing under. They would have to have like some sort of studio to unionize under, right? And that's part of the reason why I hate the idea, because when I get submissions from studios, they go right in the trash. I don't accept submissions from studios, which I put right in our submission guidelines. But you know why I hate getting submissions from studios versus individual people?
Because you hate that I'm having control over you?
No. Because if you get a submission from an individual person, you can say, hey, that looks really great. You want to do a test page? And they'll hit you back, yes or no. You hit them up, say, hey, you didn't include what your page rate is. What do you expect to get paid to do this book? Here's the script. You want to give it a read and then tell me how much you want to charge? They give it a read. They get back to you, right? When you're dealing with studio, oh, I'm sorry, I sent you the info for all 5 of these people, but it turns out that 2 of them aren't available to do this job right now. Or, oh, yeah, I'll tell them, what is the rate that you're going to pay? Well, what's the rate that they charge? Well, what's the rate you're going to pay? And then I'll tell you if it's enough for him or not. Well, am I giving the check to him or am I giving it to you? You'd have to give it to me. Okay, well, I'm not going to trust that you're going to pay him. You're not my employee. You're a studio. You know? I want to give the check to the person to make sure that they get it. You know what I'm saying? I hate dealing with studios, and the idea of having unions in comics makes me think of just this gigantic studio. That's what it makes me think.
I feel like people probably had the same arguments and thoughts about this one. This is the symbol.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah. And according to this, they represent over 140,000 people.
Jesus. Wow.
Because they're everywhere. And that's what I believe that's what it would become. But I don't like the idea of a union in comics.
Me neither.
That sounds awful. You're taking away what comics are. That's like a union of painters, like art that paint these pictures. What the fuck is that about? No, go fuck yourself. You know they.
That being said, though, with the whole Kickstarter thing,
things about that.
There might be something going on there that we got no clue. And if the employees want to try to unionize again and again, you know, I mean, like, that's...
People want to unionize, they can go right ahead and go for it.
Yeah, I got absolutely zero bone in that one, you know, either way. But it is something that I wonder if that's part of the reason we haven't picked up as many new backers with this one.
Could be.
Because there were a lot of people who had very, very strong feelings on it. And I don't know, maybe like they wanted to unionize for a super good reason. Because I actually didn't look into why they wanted to. And maybe, you know, the guy's going around harassing everybody and they wanted to unionize to put a stop to that or something, you know? I mean, like, that'd be a better reason not to support the platform than just that they didn't allow them to form a union, right? I would think so. But, you know, I don't have the same viewpoints on a lot of that stuff that a lot of people have.
There's all sorts of things it could be. In
any case, I think that's enough of us blathering for tonight.
Well, I do have a thing about comics.
Okay, go ahead.
We said I'm not big on buying things online.
Uh-huh.
But I stared at it long enough, and I finally decided to buy it. And I'm not really a fan of spending my money.
Uh-huh.
I cringe when I spend over like $50 on really anything. You should have seen me debate on what TV I was going to buy, and then I was kicking myself for paying the money that I did for a TV.
How much did you pay?
It was like $350 or something like that.
I've never paid for a TV. Ever. Not a single one.
I had never bought a TV.
Without fail, someone will always be upgrading one, and they know it's a pain in the ass to sell their old ones. You can always just get one for free.
Mine just went till it burnt out. One day it wouldn't turn on again. So I was like, well, okay.
That happened with ours last year, and then we got one for Christmas from my parents. So
even though I want it, I'm still kicking myself for spending the money on it. But you kind of talked me. Well, you didn't talk me into it. You just showed it to me. I bought that Lucifer comic.
Oh, nice! You got the Lucifer omnibus.
Yeah.
How much you spend?
It was $72.
Yeah, so you got it the second week it was out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also spent the extra like $6 because I wasn't about to trust.
I'm going to be buying that this week, by the way.
I wasn't about to trust USPS.
Oh, if it's going through in-stock trades, USPS, I've never had a problem. I've got tons of stuff from them.
Hey, I don't trust them to try to not shove that thing in the mailbox.
You've not seen packaging yet like you have seen in-stock trades. Yet.
I just went UPS because at least those people get out and bring it to the door.
They have these foam things that fill up around the book. So USPS could kick the box multiple times and it still probably would not damage the interior.
Well, maybe I didn't need to spring that.
In any case, I'm going to be buying that this week too. So, with that, let's do a review on that in the future.
All right.
When I get my copy and you get your copy.
Okay, maybe you won't make it through before I do because you only have. I think you have a little bit less time to read anything than I do, but I'm pretty slow at making it through.
I read about an hour a night.
Oh, you do also read a lot faster. You'll definitely be done before I am.
Oh, okay.
It's 1,000 pages. I don't know how much artwork that includes, but still.
It's an early Vertigo book, so it's not like this super detailed art. A lot of the early Vertigo stuff is the art is supportive of the story instead of the writing more than the writing supports the art, if that makes sense to you.
But also, like any extra junk that they threw in. I don't know how many pages of that might be in there.
Probably quite a bit.
Yeah, so you might be able to take out, 100 pages and extra art. Because there's so many books that can buy.
The Lucifer books I've read, they have words in them. They definitely have words in them.
Look at where they came from. They had that had words in it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'd take me probably 3 nights to read it, I think.
I would be more like 3 weeks. If
I was staying on that. I'll remember it well enough that when you're all done with it, we can still do a review on it.
Well, all right.
It'd be fun. How many times do we actually read the same thing?
Not a whole lot.
So I think that'd be fun to do. We'll do that for an upcoming episode.
All right. Good enough.
All right. Stay tuned for that at some point. We'll keep updating, see how Robert's doing with his reading of it.
For the most part, we don't own the same comics either.
No. Well, I don't know. I probably own everything you own.
There's a greater likelihood of that than me owning something that you own.
True. For this segment of Kids Review Comics, we have Tyler on. What are you reviewing tonight, Tyler?
Bone.
Bone number what? 28.
How do you know that?
Because it's on the front cover.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was August 28th.
No, that's the issue number. Most of the time on comics, the issue numbers are on the front. Most kids that are reading Bone don't have the single issues. Where'd you get that from?
You.
Me? Where'd I get it from?
The con.
Oh, okay. So, go ahead and tell us what you thought of the issue.
Well, I love Bone, so I liked it a lot.
Is it different reading it like this than reading it in the color version?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to talk about the issue at all? What happens in it?
I thought the very first part was funny where Smiley was crying over a sandwich being born.
Okay, well, tell me about it.
What do you mean?
Smiley's crying over a sandwich being born?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Because he thinks it's beautiful.
He thinks it's beautiful?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this issue, Smiley already has Bartleby.
Yep.
Okay. What else happens in this issue?
They meet, can't pronounce his name, I think this is Rockjaw.
Rockjaw?
Yeah.
That's what they call him. Is that the first time they meet Rockjaw?
Yeah. Very
Okay.
first time.
Go on.
They also fight the rat creatures in it.
Uh-huh.
The very last part, they're falling off the cliff, and then Rockjaw takes Bartleby. He saves Bartleby, and then there's an ad in here, I think, that I really like.
An ad?
Yeah.
Okay, for what?
It's for Bone.
Oh, it's a pinup. I've never actually seen that pinup.
It's really funny.
So that's one of the neat things about the single issues versus the trade paperbacks. There are actually things like that in there.
Yeah, I like that.
Who did that pinup?
Jeff Smith.
No, that's not Jeff Smith's artwork.
Scott Roberts, Patty Cake.
Okay, so this is actually a way that independent comic creators promote one another. Is by doing pinups in each other's comics. It's something that I've thought about doing in my own comics. So there's also an ad for the 4th collection of Bone.
Yeah.
Which seems weird now, huh?
Yeah, since I haven't read it too, so.
So how much would you recommend this?
A 10.
A 10? Okay, art and writing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And would you rather read it in the black and white form, or would you rather read it in color?
To me, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Would you spend your own money on this?
Yeah.
Okay. And how excited are you for the upcoming Netflix Bone series?
There's going to be a Netflix Bone series.
There is? I didn't tell you that yet?
You've been keeping secrets from me.
Yep, there's going to be a Bone series that's coming to Netflix.
You make it. You make it.
What?
I'm so excited.
What are you saying?
I'm saying, oh my god.
Oh, okay. It doesn't sound like,
You
oh my
sound
God.
like a talk show dude.
You sound like a talk show dude.
No, you do.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Thanks for being on, Tyler.
You're welcome.
All right, this is Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
Thank you for listening.